video, it's actually a new Wow Mel video. I never thought I would see the day. This is honestly kind of weird for me. I have not filmed like an actual sit-down video for this channel in like 2 months. But it was fun when I did it, so I'm back. You may or may not remember in one of my previous videos, I mentioned that I started working on like, not quite a script, but like I started working on bullet points for a video about one of my D&D story times that I was gonna make that day, but then I got tired, so I like filmed that video instead. And now I'm finally bringing you that video because hey, the bullet points were already started for me, so excellent news. I have them right here, so if I look down sometimes, that's why. But basically, today I'm bringing you another D&D story time about how my players briefly acquired a Mind Flayer ship. Obviously, I feel like most D&D videos require a lot of context, but that will really bog this down, so I will give you the bare bones things that you need to know. A Mind Flayer, if you're not familiar, is a creature that's usually got like purpley skin. It's like an alien creature. The important part is the tentacles on its face. They're like psionic creatures. They're really nasty. They have like a hive mind, and there's an elder brain that they usually serve. They like suck people's brains out, they use them for experiments, etc, etc. And depending on the campaign, Mind Flayers can fly in like these ships that I think they're called nautiloids, or at least they look like a nautilus. You know, they're pretty dangerous and they're very, very intelligent. So getting into the actual story, the only bit of context you need to know for the story is that my players were going to this area called the Land Between Worlds, and to get there I basically set it up like Bermuda Triangle style. Like I added a sea serpent, and I added like ghost pirates, and I added all kinds of stuff, and I wanted to add like aliens because that's, you know, some of the like theories about the Bermuda Triangle. And so I was like, well, perfect, I can use Mind Flayers and they'll be in their Mind Flayer ship, and that'll be like the D&D version of aliens coming. And what they did was they approached the party and they were like, hey, I'm not able to go to the Land Between Worlds because there is this huge serpent guarding it that I based off the world serpent that basically would swallow them whole if they tried to go there. So they were like, hey, friends, adventurers, can you go to the Land Between Worlds and get the Book of Shadow Lore for us? And if you don't, we'll fight you. And the players were like, hey man, it's all good, I'll get that book for you. And they were like, cool. And then they flew away. And my players went there and they did get the book, but they were like, yo, I feel like maybe we shouldn't give them this book because the Book of Shadow Lore had like ancient secrets about the Shadowfell in it. And they were like, those Mind Flayers were like a wee bit aggressive. It feels like maybe not the best idea if we give them that book. So what they did was they made a copy of it, and it was a very good copy. Like I had them like roll a few times for it, and I remember one of the major rolls that Noir made, and he's proficient with like forgery and stuff, he got like a 27, so it was like a really good copy. And eventually the party had to go over those seas again. So the Mind Flayers came back on their ship and they were like, hey guys, do you have our book? And Noir was like, yes. He offered them the fake book, and the Mind Flayers are very intelligent, obviously. And I think there were like 2 of them, 2, maybe 3, who came down to take the book and leave, and they rolled so poorly. Noir rolled so high to make this fake book, so the 3 of them did not realize that it was a fake book, and so they were like, wow, thanks for the Book of Shadow Lore. And then they went back up on their Mind Flayer ship, and then they started, like, the ship turned around and they started flying away. And then I was like, yeah, you see the ship flying away, and then you see it start to turn back around, and everyone started sweating because there was another Mind Flayer on the Mind Flayer ship. Obviously, he was kind of the one driving. He actually rolled decently well, and he's like, I feel like this is fake. This one doesn't really seem magic to me. It seems pretty mundane. And so they turned their ship back around, and they came down. Obviously, they were very hostile because they were tricked, and a battle ensued. It was actually one of the most dangerous, deadly battles I have ever run. There were 4 Mind Flayers, and they fought, I think the party, there were 6 of them. I think they were level 8 or around there. And there were 2 NPCs who joined them, and one NPC was level like 15 or 16, and the other NPC was level like 17. So it felt like there were a lot of them and they could take them, but boy was it a deadly battle. People were going down left and right. Also, they were in this Bermuda Triangle-esque situation, so there were like environmental effects where every round the sky was like raining fire, actually, so every round they took like 2d6 fire damage. It was very deadly. I am a DM who is of the belief that most humanoid type creatures generally don't want to fight to the death, especially when they have some sort of escape route. Also, I should mention that these Mind Flayers were slightly homebrewed. Most of my monsters are, like, I'll take an existing monster, change some things, swap some things out. So they were a slightly modified version of the Mind Flayers. So they weren't able to like plane shift away immediately because they had their ship, so they didn't have to plane shift. I adjust things a little bit. When there were like 2 Mind Flayers left, one of them was just surrounded by the party, getting beat up, and then this other Mind Flayer was like, yo, I'm gonna escape. So he climbed up the rope ladder to get back up to the Mind Flayer ship, and what happened was Alvis, the rogue, of course, wound up chasing him. So he was up there, he killed the Mind Flayer in the ship, and then the party killed the Mind Flayer that was on the boat still.
Oh, it's going straight right now. I'm gonna try and figure it out.
Looks at this last Mind Flayer, please, and she smiles at him. She's like, we're gonna steal your ship! And then she plunges her dagger to his chest, and his tentacles go, and he crumples over. And so after they recovered, because it was a very deadly battle, and they did kind of have to go for cover because they were still in fire rain, they realized they just had this ship, and I don't know what I thought would happen. I like to set up challenging battles. Obviously, if a character or 2 dies, like, it happens. But I don't really set up situations where I want the party to TPK because I personally find that to be pretty dissatisfying, and a lot of times if a TPK happens, I feel like the DM didn't properly balance it. So clearly I wasn't expecting the Mind Flayers to just win, but I just didn't think about when they died. Where would the ship go? I didn't think about it. So they just had this extremely powerful alien technology. They had to roll like a lot of intelligence rolls, investigation rolls, arcana rolls, etc. But the level 17 NPC joined Alvis up there because they were really close, and they're 2 rogues, and they were like so smart, and so they kept rolling really high. It was still, of course, very complicated, but they did figure out that the Mind Flayer ship is able to travel through dimensions, basically. They knew it was possible to do that, but they couldn't figure out how, but they did figure out how to make it go like up and down and like forward and backwards and like stop, you know? And they also learned how to use like, there's essentially like a GPS function where they can put in the coordinates and then it will kind of autopilot them there. While this was happening, I was like, I may have just given them something incredibly powerful, but I didn't want to just take it away from them, you know, because that didn't feel right. I made the mistake, why should I punish them? And also, is it a mistake if it could be very interesting? So I kind of just let some things play out. I did want to include a few clips here from the session about kind of what they decided to do with the Mind Flayer ship and figuring it out. But basically, one of the NPCs they were with is named Six. I talk about him in a lot of my videos, so if you're not familiar with him, basically he runs like a circus-themed criminal organization. They do like a lot of like recreational like drugs and like gambling and things. So he had a lot of money. I will insert some clips here of the two brainiacs in the group figuring out what's going on and then Six coming. Are you okay?
I think so. I wasn't bitten or anything, so I am holding him there.
What's up, bitches?
Hey, Six, how much would you pay for a Mind Flayer ship?
Oh, $2.
So much money? How much?
We're friends.
No, we're not. The people down there care about you. I tolerate you.
You killed some Mind Flayers. I killed some Mind Flayers.
Indeed.
As far as I'm aware, this ship is partly mine. For discounting the price, I will take it off your hands.
Yeah, that's not happening. Alright. Well, what's the discounted price, actually?
I can muster up 75,000 gold.
We'll see what the other individual offers.
Okay.
The deal that we made with everybody, or I guess with Shonen as well, that we were going to grab anything we could and sell it off to help her out.
And you trust this other individual with the Mind Flayer ship more than you trust me with it.
It depends on if he pays more. If he does, I will consider giving this to you for even 100,000, and you get to take it home with you. Like, you get to drive it home.
Basically, they were trying to figure out what to do with it because they didn't know how much it could be valued. Also, currency is different in my world. So if I throw around gold piece prices and you're like, that seems really cheap, my currency system is different. The other rogue, Shonen, was in like a lot of debt, and so Six was like,
and what if you gave it to me?
Six by now is their friend. Actually, yesterday's session he started dating Noir, but he's very selfish, he's pretty greedy, kind of immature, and he is descended from a fae, so he can be a little chaotic, a little self-serving, a little tricky, but he is also the party's friend. And the whole reason they were going to the land between the worlds in the first place is actually to save his life. And so they were like, I don't want to give this to you, but you might be the only person we could give it to and know that we would get our money and that things might be okay. We know you wouldn't try and take over the world with it. Even though he's greedy, there was that baseline of trust that obviously he wouldn't do something like that. So, reluctantly, that's kind of what they decided to do. They killed Mind Flayers. And they took their interdimensionally traveling, brilliant alien technology ship that can go anywhere in the world, and they were like, guys, we really need money. And so they sold it to Six, the clown crime syndicate leader. So Six has a Mind Flayer ship now, and they were still a little worried. Obviously, there was that baseline trust with Six, like, I trust you're not gonna take over the dimensions with it, but that is a very low bar, and even if Six didn't do something bad with it, if people found out he had it, other bad people could take the ship from him and cause a lot of havoc. They were like, it feels like a win, but also I get the nagging feeling that this might go horribly wrong down the line. And they continued to the land between worlds, and Asazu, who is the giant serpent, was like, hey, I know you got that Mind Flayer ship. Asazu is a very big keeper of the balance. I like to call him the balance between good and evil. He guards the whole world because he is huge, but primarily the land between worlds is his focus. And he was like,
hey, that Mind Flayer ship could really cause some problems.
And the party was like, I know, but like, what were we gonna do with it? Obviously, the Mind Flayers don't have that now, so that's good, and we needed the money, so like, I'm sorry, dude. And he was like,
that's okay. I just want you to know that if it's starting to be used for really evil, awful, nefarious purposes, I'm going to eat it.
And the group was like, what? And he was like,
yeah, that's really powerful stuff. If wherever it is in the world, I will find it and I will literally swallow it whole.
and the group was like, awesome! They were over the moon because that meant that if it fell into the wrong hands, if Six was abusing it, if someone was stealing it from him, wanted to take over the world, they had this massive world serpent who would fix the problem for them and literally eat it, and then everything would be fine and they would not be held liable. So they did their little dancey dance. They were very happy about it. Six was like sweating a little bit because after you hear that, you're like, okay, am I using this for like too nefarious purposes? He was gonna like use it to throw a bunch of like sick parties. The whole situation was just really funny. It turned out great for them, obviously, because they got so much money. Six got a ship, and then the friend's out of debt, and the big scary world serpent is going to handle it if things go horribly. So they're like, I love not being responsible for my own actions, so this is a win-win. I just thought it was a really interesting story. I throw a lot of powerful things at my party, and I'm able to do this because my players are really good about not abusing the things I give them. They use them very creatively and very heroically. But this one, they have not abused it, but it was literally just an oversight on my part. Like, a lot of times, if they're encountering something or someone really powerful, I'm like, okay, I know this is really powerful, but I think they'll be okay with it. I want to see what happens, etc. And I just forgot about the Mind Flayer ship. And then I had to put a price on the Mind Flayer ship. And I definitely undervalued it, but you know what? Maybe that was Six just being sneaky, because at the point that the party was at, the kind of money he was offering them was more money than they have seen in their entire lives. And that was really undervaluing it. Like, wow. But I think it also worked out for me because they wanted to sell it. So it helped me take it away from them in a way that didn't feel like,
uh-oh, I messed up. They had a Mind Flayer ship. How do I do this?
everyone's happy, I'm happy, the players are happy, the world's happy, and we all do our little dancey dance. I hope you enjoyed that story. You can check out one of our other ones where they teleported a boat onto a mountain. That'll be up in the card in the corner. But I did want to touch base with you guys a little bit at the end here. I appreciate all the support you've given me. I got like so many more subscribers, even though it was like in the break where I wasn't really posting anything but my shorts videos. My general goal is to make a cosplay video and then a D&D video and then a cosplay video and then a D&D video. I don't always stick to that, but that's the kind of vibe I hope to go for. But I do stream on Twitch twice a week if you need a little bit more Mel content in your life. My Twitch is wow__Mel, and I will also link it in the description. And if you want to check out my cosplay Instagram, it is at wow__Mel as well. But thank you so much for joining me, my precious everyone. Why am I out of breath? I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I will see you guys next time, okay? Bye!